Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing an ADI Part 3 post-test interview. So Jamie Docker, he took his Part 3 test yesterday in Lowestoft. It was his third attempt. Let's find out how he did. And before you get stuck into the video, really appreciate if you could just hit the like button, subscribe for future content, and leave any comments about what you thought of this video and what you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching. Brilliant. So Jamie, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed. Post-test interview. Had a Part 3 yesterday, and I just first of all just want to congratulate you on becoming an ADI.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank you. Thank you.
well done. And now over to you. So if you'd just like to talk about, your journey, how the tests went, we'll have a little chit chat, and people would be very interested sort of to hear about, the path that you took to get to become an ADI. So yeah, over to you, Jamie.
Oh, wow. So I think it started probably about 18 months ago when I initially decided that I wanted to do this as a career. My little sister bought a car, and she asked me, she's like, Jamie, can you take me out? Because mum's a little bit scared. I thought, yeah, go on then. I'll have a go. Why not? And yeah, really enjoyed it. And I saw that a current instructor, Mitch, was not long after finished his training, he qualified as an ADI. So I just sort of sent.
Did you know him from school? Is that?
Mitch was a chef before. I was a chef as well, and in the area, our paths crossed here and there. So I did know Mitch. So I sent him a little message. We met up for a coffee, and he just basically said it's the best thing he's ever done. It's very rewarding, and he really enjoys it. So that's when I straight away said, right, okay, let's give it a go. And then I sent you a little message. And then we had a chat for about an hour one evening, and you answered all my questions. And then we cracked on from there, didn't we? Got the theory done, got the Part 2, and then we started the Part 3 training, which was, for me, I think it was, I don't know, I think I struggled with it initially. I mean, we sort of agreed at one point that I wasn't quite where I wanted to be. But yeah, we got through it, didn't we? And then I started teaching. That's how it started. That's how it went down, and here we are now.
And because you're over in Lowestoft, so sort of most recent part of your training, I've had a few trips over to Lowestoft, watching you teach and helping you with that. And yeah, I always thought that, you're very good at this. And I know I've said that to you as you're doing it, some really good lessons coming out of there. And yeah, it's just everything that has been said to you and any feedback you've received, you've always sort of gone away and thought, right, yeah, I'll get better at that. And next time you can see that you're doing that, and you're very conscientious person, and you want to be a professional. And in your local test center, I'm going to let you. Do you want to share that little story? You had some feedback whilst you was on your trainee license from the test center that I think lifted your spirits.
Yeah, it did actually. It was just I think you got a phone call, didn't you, from the test center manager?
Yes.
He just sort of wanted to let you know that I was doing well. We had some really nice compliments from a couple of the examiners as well. So that gave me a nice little boost, which is good.
Yeah. They were really impressed with the standard that you were standing up, that you were sitting in on tests, you were asking very good questions, and again responding to any advice or feedback they give you. That's what the examiner, not the manager of the test center, just wanted to get over to me. And it's not often. In fact, I can't think of ever a time I've had a phone call from a test center manager to talk to me about something that's good. Normally it's, can you tell you guys not to use this car park? or
Yeah, that's
you had a complaint, you know, you had a bit of an argument with an examiner, or you know, and this was, he said, I just want to, you know, I want to phone you up, and I need to let you to know, and that was, I was like, wow, thanks, and
yeah,
so that was very good.
PDIs would sit in with their pupils. It shows obviously support for your pupil. And obviously you get to just get that little bit of extra knowledge, even if it's something as simple as like how the examiners conduct themselves on the day, you know, how they word certain things as well. So yeah, it's all really helpful, and I think it is quite an important part of the process. I definitely learned from it. I sort of managed to put that into my lessons as well for the pupils to make it seem like more of a realistic lesson for them if I'm doing a mock test as well.
Yeah, one thing I
you know,
noticed when I sat in with you is that your wording is spot on. You know, how
well, I
you,
do watch. I think
yeah,
I've watched too many driving tests.
I think he really knows how to say it, when to say it, and make it very clear. And yeah, you could tell that you've sat in on lots of tests to pick that up.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's what they're there for as well, isn't it? You know, you've got a job to do. You've got to learn. You're a trainee instructor. It's definitely up there. One of the best ways to further your progression, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that was your training. You've got lots of help from Mitch and other ADIs. I think, did you go out with some others and sort of see how they get on and how they do?
Yes, it started off with Mitch. He was my first person to sit and watch lessons, and when I watched Mitch, I was blown away a little bit because he's very calm. He keeps his pupils relaxed, and then from there, I got in touch with Patrick as well. Again, the knowledge of these instructors, you just think to yourself, oh my God, how am I going to get to that point? How am I going to get myself as good as these instructors? Because they're the ones setting the bar. But it is very achievable and doable. And, you know, you always walk away with that little bit of extra knowledge to put into your own lessons. Did some work with Simon as well when he came about as a training instructor. He's now passed as well. Michael as well, great guy, really good instructor. Learned a lot from him as well.
Brilliant.
You know, there's just so much you can get from like the community.
A good pool of information. You know, you can see, because not every teaching style will work for you, and you've got to sort of find your own way, haven't you? And what you feel comfortable with. And the more you see, the more you learn, isn't it? And you can think, well, I didn't like that, but I'm gonna steal that little bit. I'm gonna do that. And
yeah, definitely.
That's what I sort of could see in you, that you were picking up, you know, the good traits and making your own style of teaching, which, and your learners, you know, let's be honest, they love you. You get them through the test.
I feel like there might be
feedback.
A couple. Yeah, yeah, I just think I've benefited a lot from the instructor support group, just having people there. You know, a silly question might have a really simple answer. You know, I was quite worried and quite afraid to put a silly question into the group or show a lack of knowledge. But yeah, no, that wasn't the case at all. People are quite helpful.
Yeah, good. It's a little community and a little network. ADIs do stick together, and I know us as a school, we've got our little Facebook group that we can support. But I think you'll find that with, you know, well, hopefully most other instructors, you can always ask them a question, even if they're from another school. You know, that people are out there willing to help and give you support. So, do you mind sort of sharing like your journey in terms of the tests, like what attempt you were, for example?
My first one, I think like I went into it a little bit naive. I don't think I fully understood the actual test, and that was with it was that one with Did I have for my
The examiner, that would be with the first one you did with Michael, I understood.
Yes, it was. Yeah, that was yeah, that was really interesting. I thought I just needed to take a pupil and just give a lesson. I don't think I had a full understanding of what I needed to do. So that one we scored 21 on, and with that score, I wasn't expecting a pass on that day. I just wanted to go see what it was like and then learn from it, basically. So then we had more sessions with you, more ride along. So I watched other instructors. Then the second one, we scored 29. That one I had a much better understanding. I think I dived into the process a little bit more. Again, you know, extra training with yourself, more lessons to be watched as well. But didn't quite do enough to get through. It wasn't the right lesson for the pupil. You know, he was at 40 plus hours, and there wasn't much of a challenge for him. Therefore, we didn't really give him like the value for money side of things.
So in terms of the market, it's a planning fail, wrong lesson for people.
Yeah.
But your teaching strategies and your risk was all fine. It was just the lesson was too easy for a pupil of that level of ability.
Yeah, definitely. And then with that one, I think it was just a case of understanding more the pupil's goals and needs, if you think of it that way. And with that, again, more training. You kindly sent over Steve Smith's number. So I did a couple of sessions with Steve, did a couple Q&A sessions, fault analysis, things like that. Yeah, that was all really, really helpful.
And what else did you do? Because you was on your third attempt, you were obviously worried about it. You did something very proactive, and who did you go to see to put your mind at ease?
We went and saw the man himself, didn't we?
Yes. So we arranged a meeting with the examiner, the ADI enforcement examiner, Bradley, and yeah, there were three of us, weren't there? Myself, obviously you and Michael. So yeah, so how did you feel that did that help?
I didn't want to go in there and ask him why did you fail me, because he was very good with how he described to me why I was unsuccessful on my second attempt. I wanted to go in there and get more of an understanding of what he wants to see, what is expected for the test. And with that, we learned the three main things that the examiner would look for on a Part 3 test. We learned that, one, is it the right lesson for the pupil? Are they getting value for money? 2, is the lesson safe? And 3, what was the third one?
Did learning take place?
Did learning take place?
Did they learn something? So you think of the three sections of the marking sheet. You've got your planning. So was it the right lesson for that pupil at that moment in time? Risk management, obviously, was it safe? And then your teaching and learning strategies is, did you get your point across? Did learning take place? Are you a good teacher? Did you help that learner take something away from the lesson at the end? And if you got a yes in all three, I'd be happy. You'd be up.
Yeah. So when I sort of got that understanding, it made my lessons actually a lot easier, because then I was automatically every lesson thinking about those three things.
Did you find yourself you were stopped worrying about 17 competencies and just thinking, do you know what? I've just got to do three things here. It simplified everything, didn't it? Do you think?
Yeah, just sort of like they went out the window, just completely forgot about them. Obviously, was very much aware that that's what needed to be done. So I sort of had a Part 3 marking sheet printed out on the table, just having a look at it every day. But yeah, and with the third and final attempt, that was what I was trying to do, basically.
Do you mind if I share your result on the screen?
Yes, go for it.
the big reveal. So, bear with me. Bear with. Make sure I share the right screen. And here it is. So, Jamie, why don't you talk us through? So, you got a grade A, 45 points. It's outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. So, should we just scroll down to the feedback, what the examiner said about it? So, extremely good lesson. Nice man. I assume he's talking about you and not your pupil.
The pupil was lovely as well.
Yeah, Harvey, wasn't it? Met Harvey, great pupil to take.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, people can read that on screen. But in your own words, yeah, after the test, what did the examiner say to you? What was the feedback?
Basically that it was a grade A. With how the lesson went, he sort of felt like there was no other way it could have gone. He went through the 3 things that he looked for again. He said as soon as, before we even left the car park, that learning had already taken place. We just went through some safety bits and bobs about having an extra passenger. And then straight into that, he sort of didn't quite get his observations across, and there was people to benefit from a signal when he asked, shall I signal? So then that was straight away things to talk about. Yeah, you just said it was definitely safe. The pupil learned, and it was the right lesson for the pupil. I think I only missed off one fault that was on topic, which would have took me to the 51, and that was the pupil's observation in terms of like mirror checks wasn't there when he was driving at speed. And as our lesson was, as agreed with the pupil, to encourage him to do his own mirror checks, as well as use of reference points at junctions independently, you know, because it was on topic and I missed it. That's why it wasn't like a clean sheet.
Got it. And that missed opportunity rippled through the score sheet. So actually, I will just put it back on because it's quite interesting to see, because when you're talking about one specific thing that would have got you the 51, we can sort of see that in the marking sheet and how it kind of works. So it's a really good example to use this. I'll just pop it back up. So if we took that one thing that, was it so mirrors were being missed at its highest speed. So how did that affect your score? So here, we'll just look at where you scored a 2. So you got a 2 in, did the trainer identify the pupil's learning goals and needs? So there was a missed fault, a missed opportunity, so you're going to get a 2 because you didn't do that throughout the board. So that one thing had an effect on that competency. Then that just ripples down to here as well, onto this one. Was the lesson plan adapted? So had you have spotted it, the lesson would therefore be adapted and you would have got a 3 for there.
Yeah.
And we look at the next 2. Was the trainer aware of the surroundings and the pupil's actions so well because it's missed? So that's rippling through it's the same thing affecting your score. So just there, you've lost 3 points for one thing, which can seem a bit harsh, but that's the way it's scored. And then we look down to this one, a 2 here. Was the pupil given appropriate and timely feedback? Well, because it's missed, that's having a knock-on effect there. And then at the end of the session, was the pupil encouraged to reflect? So maybe you've got a 2 because he wasn't able to reflect on his mirror use. It could have been a little bit more. And so we've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points for that of missed faults. So you can see there how that can just ripple through the whole test. And in the examiner's words, had you got that, he would have been giving you a 51. He actually said that. And I met him later and he said to me, you know, as 20 minutes into that lesson, he knew this was a grade A. You know, he was so impressed with what you did. So, you know, all that hard work he did. Like,
I know.
You know, brilliant when it pays off.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the grade A, to be honest. I would have been over the moon with just a B, just a pass. I really would have been. So yeah, it was quite a shock, I will say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice shock. And I mean, I know we've had a lot of conversations before you went into it, because there will be people that watch this that have been on a third attempt or about to go into a third attempt. So, you know, you must, I know you were feeling awful about it. The pressure's on, because at the end of that, you could be looking for another job, and you like your world's sort of up in the air, and it's very, very difficult, therefore, to focus on what you've got to do. But what kind of things sort of helped you sort of, you know, just believe you could do it? I don't know, I don't know if you've got any advice you could pass on anyone in that situation. What could they do?
I was very open with examiners with my PDI license. I was always talking to other instructors, asking for advice, talking about their experiences. You know, the content you put up is also really, really helpful. I'd always send a message to people who recently passed just to hear how they got on. Yeah, always sort of just try and stay calm and relaxed, because that will spill over into the car on the day. I think if you're relaxed, your pupils relaxed, and it'll just be a bit more natural. You want to go in there and be yourself, stay calm. It's a hard thing to do.
And I know conversations where don't try to overplan it. It's just it's another lesson with a pupil that you've been teaching many lessons, and you're going to go and you're just going to focus on what he needs. So you might, I mean, I know with Harvey, we went out and he, right at the end of the lesson, the last lesson that he had for your test, where I was able to sit in, he'd overshot that junction, and he turned him right. He overshot that right at the end. And he sort of said to me, he wasn't sure whether he should have gone or not. There was an oncoming car. And that can give you the way you think, well, just talk about that.
Yeah,
or you might have messed up the hill start coming out of the test centre. We'll talk about that. And so you can't really overplan it, can you? You just sort of, I mean, what, you know, just because we haven't had a detailed conversation about, because we talked about, you could do this, you could do that, just respond to your pupils. So when you actually got there, what did happen? What was your opening sort of goal? You know, what did you talk to Harvey about what you were going to be doing on that lesson?
Just started the lesson normally. We sort of talked about his needs and what he wants to achieve by the end of the lesson. For him, he still wanted to talk about his stopping distances, his braking. He wanted to go over the junctions on hills again. So I sort of said, all right, cool, no problem. We can take a look at that. And we did. He nailed them both first time. There was no issues.
So coming out of the test centre, where there's quite a tricky hill start junction, he nailed that?
He did. We did agree that I would be there to stop him if needed, but he didn't need it. And with that, we just continued on the lesson. I did spot, before we pulled up to pick up Brad, that his mirrors were a little bit not where they should be. And he did overshoot the right turn going into the test centre again.
Oh, really? Well, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was it. We basically agreed that with his knowledge and understanding, he would be responsible for getting his reference point for turning right. But then we also agreed that he knows where to check mirrors. He knows why. He's got a good understanding, but he can't manage it on his own. He'll forget. So then we agreed that I would share responsibility with him and prompt him. And with that, he fixed his right turn, got that right. We just cracked on, kept moving. And then we tackled his mirrors. I was a constant reminder throughout the exam. All right, Harvey, which mirrors we're going to check? And he would go, that one. Then we then agreed that I could sit back a little bit as well. We had a problem with going around a parked car that he didn't have priority with as well. So straight away we talked about that. One thing I learned off another instructor was just nip it in the bud, mention it, talk about it, you know, don't forget about it. As soon as you see it, say it, and then just sort it out. You know, you didn't have to stop with every fault, which is something I did in my first one. I just stopped them every time I saw a fault, which just kept going round and round.
Do you find as you get more experience, you get better at that? Because like any skill, you can sort of multitask things, can't you? You can see it and say it and think, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but just focus on this, and then you can come back without the stop. Did you find that the longer you did it, that you found yourself not needing to sort of pull up and, you know?
Well, I knew if I pull up the pupil, I know I'm going to be talking for a little while, because I feel like I have to get out, you know, what happened there, what are the repercussions of that, what we're going to do differently. And that can take a little bit of time.
Yeah. So
when you've got, you know, a countdown of 45 minutes, you don't really want to do that unless it is, you know, safety critical, or, you know, it's caused you to intervene. So if you've agreed with your pupil that it's okay for you to ask a question when appropriate, then there's no reason why you can't ask that question on the move. But you've just got to time it correctly so you don't distract the pupil.
Brilliant.
You know, at one point I did distract my pupil, and I said, you know what, that's my fault, I'm sorry, I'm going to shut up. And I just left him to it.
And that was something Brad said when you met him, wasn't it? He said, if you make a mistake, stone it, wasn't it? He said, yeah, because we'll all make mistakes. If you've, you know, distracted a pupil, or you've given a late direction, just own it, innit? And so, yeah, brilliant.
We got to one T-junction turning right, and there was a bit of roadworks going on, and the roadworks van had parked on the path, and he blocked the whole pavement. And the people asked me, he said, is he allowed to do that? I went, you know what, mate? I don't know. And we just laughed it off.
He's got to fix a street light or whatever, he's going to park where he needs to be, isn't he? So, yeah.
But that brought up a question that then allowed me to say to him, well, as he's parked there, how is he affecting you? And straight away, he was like, I can't see. He was like, what do I do? And then straight away, if you're agreed that that's what's going to happen, you can just jump in and say, well, are you at the right place? How are you going to do it? What can you do differently? So it's, yeah, having that relationship with your pupil where you've agreed where you're going to help them is, yeah, that's quite an important one. And then just stick to it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Good. Shall we, is there anything else you'd like to add or say, or are you happy for us to wrap this one up?
No, I think that's pretty much it. If not, because I'll keep talking. We'll be here all day.
Yeah, because you need to go and enjoy. You took the day off.
I did take the day off.
So you're celebrating today, and you know, I just like to add that I think you're a very good instructor. I know I've said to you many times when I've watched it, you clearly understand how to teach, and you know how to deliver a client-centered lesson. You've learned it, you know it. I don't think you could do anything else but do that now. And I know when we spoke briefly yesterday when you passed, that you'll be very interested in helping other PDIs, because if they could come and see a lesson with you,
yeah,
they're going to see a very good lesson on how the competencies can be delivered in a very natural way, because you are a very natural teacher, and you just work with your pupil and you get it out of them, and you just understand it. So it'd be
Thank you.
very good for others to come and see that.